We're in, yeah. We're in the big boy server. What up, After Days? How you doing? We're playing this PvZ. Drones coming out my way. We're gonna go gateway first, and then because he saw us. Okay, we want that.
Your probes are under attack. We stand as one. Command. Our pylon is under attack. Take a plunge. We are the slaves of iron. By your will. Ula Sadar. Our pylon is under attack. Phase crystal charge.
Where do I am eager to strike.
Calibrate core. Annihilation commencing. Channel the light of fire. Prismatic core online.
Anon Porkal. Time for battle. Field online. Time for battle. Zero action. Cry on. Anon Porkal. On the wings of justice. Understood. Field online. The skies await. Shazul Siravek. Cry on. I will comply. I stalk through the stars. Let us try. For honor. Time to battle. Anon Porkal. Where do our enemies
Channel the light of fire. Phase crystal is necessary.
Field online. I am eager. Time for battle. On the wings of justice. Understood.
Oracle perceiving.
For honor.
Our English.
The skies Shazul through Templari. I will comply. I stalk Siravek. Cry on. Anon Porkal.
This vessel died with them.
To our enemy. Field online. Now for all.
Let an arrow
Time for battle.
receive guidance. The stars align. We interpret. Our fates are one.
The skies await. Understood.
And how can I aid you? Harmonized. Nazutai.
I am eager to strike.
The threads of fate lie.
Anon Porkal. Our dominance is unquestioned.
Our window is short. The threads of fate lie bare. It is you seek guidance. Our window is short. Extrapolate.
Genetic matrix active.
An omen. An Erodine.
I think he's gonna go mutas. I mean, not mutas, hydras, just mass hydras.
I see.
This vessel
Direct my vengeance.
mineral field depleted.
Oh, there he is. Right here.
Fates are one. The stars align. Harmonized.
Well, Tempest, it is. I'm gonna remake these, buddy.
Reinterpret.
All integrity failure.
you. It is destined. I see. Our fates are one. An Eridine Rashagal. I see.
Glory!
And our window is short. Our fates are one. The stars align. Harmonized.
Our charge.
You seek guidance?
The storm is
The threads of fate lie there. An Eridine Rashagal. An Omega.
kinetic matrix.
He's going for the bait.
You seek guidance? Harmonized.
Base is under attack.
I see. Now,
Base is under attack.
our fates are one. We interpret. Fighting our
Mineral field depleted.
Oh, the whole party's here. Everybody's invited.
Kinetic matrix active.
I'll explain. I'll explain this playstyle. Yeah, this is another branch, another playstyle branch. There's a lot of branches that I know. I just don't always. I can't show them unless they present themselves. But there's a lot of branches. All right, so. First things first, we gotta make a pylon, right? Pylon goes up. Minimap is very important to spot because with the minimap, we actually saw that we witnessed that the drone came over. So at this point of time, there's a drone cross with the probe, and you always want to have that like slight peripheral vision on your probe path to see if anything's coming. And in this case, a drone's coming. So with my peripherals, knowing that there's a drone coming, usually I make forge gateway. But in this particular case, it doesn't really matter either one, but I like Forge Gateway because it's quicker. Just I don't know, just my thing. But in this case, I can't do Forge Gateway because if I go Forge Gateway, he knows that Forge is going to be possibly Cannon Rush. So Gateway has to be the first thing shown. And then Forge, after the Gateway, it's the Forge. And so the Forge kind of looks like, oh, okay, he's going to be defensive then. He's going for a Forge second, so it's not as aggressive as Forge first if I seen just a Forge. So I had to make a gateway first. And there goes a drone. And the drone's gonna go, oh, okay, it's a gateway. Okay, cool. He's gonna go macro. And so he's going in for getting more intel. And I finish it off with a Forge. Now it doesn't look very suspicious going for a Forge after the gateway, because it could sound like I'm being defensive. Oh, maybe it's a rush or something. Maybe I should just get a cannon or something. Or, you know, it looks somewhat more defensive than offensive if you make it second. So in this case, scouting, and then right here, my probe got here, and my probe's like, oh, okay, maybe I could deny him. But letting them make a hatchery anyways is still a good thing, because everything looks good. We got our gateway forge, or we're gonna get our forge. The hatchery is being taken, so that means it's not gonna be an early rush. When it went up there, it's not gonna be a pull first, which usually isn't when there's a drone scout. But now that I know that out, everything's good. So I look like, oh man, I wanted to block your hatchery. Now I can't block your hatchery. You know, it's that whole thing where it's like, oh, I missed it. I missed my opportunity. And because the Zerg sees the same thing that I saw, which is, oh, the probe almost blocked me, but I got the hatchery up. Now the Overlord's just like, oh, okay, cool. Just I'll be here just in case. And so the probe has to go somewhere. Has to look like, oh, shoot, you know, I guess I'll scout. And so right here, I get my forge, and I get my second probe to go to the third. And I don't let this drone, you know, go unattended. I always got to lock on to that drone, because never know where that drone's going to go. Because this drone's the drone that's going to make a hatchery. It's going to make a proxy at somewhere in the map, or somewhere in your base, or somewhere by the sides. So that's going to be the suspicious drone. So you always tag it. And so now I go for the 3 pylon block. And I always make 3 pylons, and then the 4th one right behind it. And the 4th one, you'll see it's spaced right in between a potential cannon location. The reason why I put that pylon up in the first place is because the hatchery is going to go up, right? The hatchery is going to go up, and sometimes if you start off your cannons late, your pylon might be off of the creep spread, so you have to put it back. You know, so, or they send all the drones and they break in. And when they break in, you already have a wall. So there's a little reason why I kind of multiple reasons why I make the pylon early and not wait for the cannons first and then call it a day. It's because sometimes they overreact and they'll break it down. And when they break it down, you still could create a cannon containment. And when they break it down, that means they're committed. They're committed. When they're committed, it's easier for you to do that follow-up, because you know that they're trying to keep this hatchery from going down. If not, they would just cancel it. They would cancel the hatchery, you won't see any reaction. But because there's a reaction, chances are this hatchery wants to be, you know, made. So usually in this situation, I make the 2 cannons, and then the 3rd one is just a decoy just in case they overcommit. But then my goal is for them to come down to the bottom. I want them to break this pylon, go down, so I can go up and pylon block it and trap them, you know, outside the base. That just keeps more drones from being mined for a little while. So you can see my probe right here waiting for them to maybe come down if they could. And then nope, they didn't. Instead, they broke the pylon, and then they went for the spine crawler, which is a bad move. If you're gonna not go for this, don't even break the pylon, because you're letting me in, and you don't want to let me in, because I'll make a cannon so that you can't just trade with the spine crawler. Because what they want to do is get the spine crawler, take out this, and then I don't have any high ground vision, and then they could just break it down quicker. So to delay it, I'm also delaying them by making cannons. Now this cannon is a little late to this spine crawler, but cannons come up faster than the spine crawler. So if you have a cannon and a spine crawler going up at the same time, the cannon comes up first. So just remember that. So even though you're like a little bit behind on the spore part, just know that the cannon goes up quicker. So as long as you do a little bit of extra damage, you might be okay. And that's why I nibble on this spine crawler. I nibble on the spine crawler to whittle down any damage that I need to kind of offset the fact that I was a little off on the timing, but knowing that the cannon's still going to come up at a decent rate. And I didn't mind that probe losing that probe, because 2 shots already spend time. That's 2 shots of damage that this spine crawler didn't do to this cannon. And I'm focus firing on the hatchery. I mean on the spine crawler, because the spine crawler is the one I worry about. The queen has very poor range. It's the spine crawler has better range. So right here, the lings can't get in. They tried, but they can't. The way you do that is you always look at the pylon right here. So this pylon down here allows you to see the larva. And so every once in a while your cannons are killing the hatchery, you want to look down and see if the larva is creating any lings, drones, or overlords. What is it? Is it lings? Is it drones? Because if it's a drone or so, you know it's going to be a proxy somewhere in the map. If it's lings, you know he's trying to get to your base and trying to get inside before so he could do some type of damage. And so because I spotted the lings being created and you know they came out of the cocoon, I kind of was pretty aware that they wanted to come and you know nibble on my base. Now that's the drone. Remember the drone that I was talking about? The drone that was being chased by the probe, and I said don't let him out of your sight because that's the drone that'll make a proxy or a hatchery. Well, guess what it did after my probe died? It made a hatchery right over here. Now this was a good spot because I checked I think everywhere but that area, and normally that's not a good spot for a hatchery to be anyways. That's why I don't look at that spot, but I think the Zerg found out the hard way why it's not good to be in my area. But there goes the drone making the hatchery. On the other side, he's going back home, and I'm sending a zealot. The reason why I'm sending a zealot is just to see if I can get an extra, you know, high ground vision. If I can get that high ground vision just for a little bit longer, because I was kind of timing the fact that I had a little bit of time before this cannon died, and so move command. And I saw the lings being chased. Like, I mean, they were chasing the zealots. So I was like, oh, okay, this is most likely I'm going to drag them to him. And by the time he notices that the lings are following the zealots, they might lose some of them. I didn't expect all of them to die, but yeah, that's what happens sometimes. They're not on hold position, and a zealot shouldn't be there anytime soon. Why would the zealot be there? There we go. We saw our first shot of what he's doing. Ravagers. A lot of them. So we got a lot of Ravagers. We have a cannons. Their job is done. They did what they could. They killed the hatchery. They denied for as long as possible until his transition. Now that he has Ravagers as a transition, I'm already on my Void Raid potential. So I'm pretty good on my side with them having Ravagers and they're over there. And the Zerg's trying to get to my base right away. It's like I need to go do damage. I gotta go break them. Now you can see that the Overlord's right here scouting everything. So when you look at this as a Zerg player, you're like, oh, okay, cool. I can get in there. You know, there's nothing here, just a cannon. I'll just break the pylon and get in and just do as much damage or something. Payback. He might not have any too much. So that's where the Void Raids kick in, is to deny that kind of playstyle, that aggression follow-up. And it's always Stargate before expansion. Never make a Nexus first. It's always Stargate first, then Nexus. Because if not, you won't be able to get into this timing. You won't be able to get the Void Raids out enough time to not take too much damage. So Stargate first, don't get greedy, then Nexus. So we got that denied. And this probe right here, I already had a game plan when I put them right here, because I expected once the Ravagers are done, put the probe right here for the battery overcharge play. and it's something that I do when the hatchery has been up a little longer than usual. But then they lose damage, because of so many Ravagers right there. I knew that he's gonna go drone up and such. So this is like the follow up, just to make sure that the Void Raids have a little backup, because Queens go, oh, the Void Raids don't have much energy. I just gotta push them away until they don't have no energy, and they'll leave. Then they'll make spores, and then they'll go Hydras. So there goes the pylon. And the batteries. And you don't need that many batteries, but you do need a cannon just in case, because if there's lings that want to break this, at least the cannon's right there to keep the lings from breaking it. So you definitely want to at least have a cannon. The phoenixes are to pick up the queens. So I went for a three void raid, or usually it's like 4 void raids, but 3 void raids into phoenixes. And phoenixes are just to make sure that they don't go mutas. But because they went hydras, then I switched it again. But, until then, you don't know if it's going to be a muta switch or not. You have to be cautious. You did see a lot of rogue ravagers, so that's where some of that gas went. But you don't want to get caught off guard either. So we got the phoenixes picking up the queens, so the queens can't go back up to the spore. Now here I was like, okay, if I get hit, I got the battery overcharge. I mean, the battery shoot. This is the part that they don't expect. They're like, when they read this, when they move back and they read this as, okay, those void raids have very low shield right now, so we got time, or we'll be able to whittle them down more. They don't expect the full energy, recharge. And that right there throws them off a lot, because they weren't anticipating the void raids to actually do more damage than what they would. But now that they're fresh, fully clean, there it goes. The queen got caught. Phoenix win it. Pick up the queen. Yeah, because you don't want the queen to just keep shooting you and back away to the spore. So that's what the phoenix is for. Pick up the queen and kill it, Again, recharge. Sometimes I pick up the queen just to make sure that the queens don't kill enough void raids to give it time. So sometimes I pick up the queen just to stall the clock, because I'm almost killing the hatchery. So that's what these were for. They were it's a pickup just to maximize the success of this hatchery snipe. So I picked this one up too, just to kind of stall. Then I pull back away when I felt like the hatchery died. Okay, pull back, because we don't need to stay there. Again, the queen caught out of position. Phoenix pick it up. Now we saw the next transition. We saw hydras. So now there's hydras. There's a couple things you could do in this position. But because I have this area right here, I felt like I could just go for the Tempest swap and go into this area to kill this hatchery, because it's not likely to have a third base right now, because they can't even get their natural taken. So eventually it's going to be the battle of the natural. Now the hydras, they're not that good in the early games because they're so little in numbers, few in numbers. So the phoenixes that I built, to pick them up, Soft bellies. What up, Neo? Again, we picked up that queen so it doesn't run to the spores. So the more you do that, the less queens you have to deal with constantly shooting at you. So that's why I always like sometimes going to Void Raid Phoenix follow up. Again, just wiping out the Hydra count with the Phoenix pickups. The Hydra count in the low numbers are really good at picking them off because they're not that threatening. It's when they get a bigger clump that they start shooting fast and just too much DPS. So in the early game, if you keep whittling them down, the numbers, they just stay very low. So yeah, then the Tempest kicks in. Now luckily I saw a little bit of this creep. I saw a little of this creep when the oracles went over. Oh yeah, the oracles were able to get him. Where are you going? And so now I know it's a lot of Hydras. You can keep going Hydras. My revelation just kind of keeps him very annoyed. Okay. So now we have this part of the game. What happens here is that they usually get a lot of Hydras, and the Hydras do pretty good, you know, especially sometimes with queens. You know, they'll try to like muscle you. And so what they'll do is they'll try to fight you here, and eventually they'll decide to go over and just go and break you down from the side. It's like, oh, the battery shields are over there. I'm gonna break the battery shields then. You know, those damn Tempests keep shooting, picking me off here and there, and they'll try to use spores to keep the you know, just stall the clock. So what I do in return is I stasis ward this area. So this is the area where when they do go down, they get trapped, and it just gives me more time with my Tempest to do as much damage overall. So the Oracles did their part here, just stasis trail. This is where he just, I'm gonna go over there. He keeps getting, you know, he keeps getting the healing. Hey, good morning, Dr. Destructo. How are you doing? Chi. This was gonna be for when he goes back home. So if he went back home, he was gonna get stasis. So he was kind of caught in the middle of this area by trapping him with stasis traps.